Ladies and gentlemen, ever since Rahul Gandhi came back to India after his recent tour, he has been targeting both former allies and current adversaries. Today, it was the RSS turn, triggered by RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat's true freedom achieved after in Ayodhya remark. Rahul Gandhi did not mince words. He called the statement nothing short of treason. Addressing party workers after the inauguration of the new Congress headquarters at Indira Bhavan, Rahul Gandhi also said that Mohan Bhagwat's remarks were an insult to freedom fighters and an attack on the constitution. But before we hear it from Rahul Gandhi, let's first listen to what the RSS chief initially had said yesterday.
अनेक शतकों से परचक्र झेलने वाले भारत के सच्चे स्वतंत्रता की प्रतिष्ठा उस दिन हो गई। स्वतंत्रता थी, प्रतिष्ठित नहीं हुई। हमने एक संविधान भी बनाया, एक विशिष्ट दृष्टि जो भारत के अपने स्व से निकलती है, उसमें से वो संविधान दिग्दर्शित हुआ। लेकिन उसके जो भाव है उसके अनुसार चला नहीं, और इसलिए हो गए हैं स्वप्न सब साकार। कैसे मान ले आप?
That yesterday the chief of the RSS said that India never achieved independence in 1947. He said that true independence in India was achieved when the Ram Mandir was built. He says that the constitution was not the symbol of our freedom. Mohan Bhagwat has the audacity to inform the nation every 2 or 3 days what he thinks about the independence movement, what he thinks about the constitution. In fact, what he has said yesterday is treason, because it is stating that the constitution is invalid. It is stating that everything, the fight against the British was invalid, and he has the audacity to say this publicly. In any other country, he would be arrested and tried.
But probably unfortunately for Rahul Gandhi and the Congress party, he didn't stop there. The leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha then went a step further, claiming that the Congress party is not just fighting the RSS, not just fighting the BJP, but also the Indian state. He believed that the RSS and the BJP have taken control of every major institution in the country and said that his party was not engaging in a fair fight. Listen in.
The BJP and the RSS have captured every single institution of our country. We are now fighting the BJP, the RSS, and the Indian state itself.
Now, the BJP was quick to respond. BJP President JP Nadda led the charge, accusing Rahul Gandhi of having ties to urban Naxals who are out to defame India. Other BJP leaders also did not hold back either and called him an immature leader of the opposition. Listen.
When it comes to fighting the Indian state, I frankly was bewildered. I said, is this another variant of the Soros toolkit coming? Whom is he fighting? I can understand fighting another political party. I can understand fighting his thing. So if you're fighting the Indian state, which means you are admitting to opposition to the state. Now, if this, and I don't know, I don't want to put an interpretation, if he wants to fight the state through coercive means or otherwise even, I think that would constitute treason. And you had a young leader, I mean, at 54, how many people can be called young leaders? But variously, many times relaunched young leader. And today he makes a statement that we have to fight the Indian state. But you ought to be ashamed of yourself that you say that we have to fight the Indian state. You can say, I want to fight the political parties, and we have a different view of it. But I think the young man has lost it.
It is our misfortune that we have a part-time and irresponsible, immature leader of opposition in Rahul Gandhi, who also happens to be guided by forces like George Soros, forces that are inimical to the integrity of our country.
And the Congress party remains unfazed. In fact, it has doubled down and attacked the BJP's ideological parent, calling time on the so-called, and I'm quoting them there, rotten secret society, and declared that Rahul Gandhi had simply spoken what the nation already knows.
कहा कि जिस तरह से आरएसएस और भाजपा मशीनरी का इस्तेमाल कर रही है, आप ये मत समझिए कि आप सिर्फ एक राजनीतिक लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं, पूरी एजेंसियां उनको सपोर्ट कर रही हैं, तो आप अपने दिमाग में बिठा के रखें कि आपकी लड़ाई बड़ी।
लेकिन बीजेपी इस पे कह रही है कि अगर राष्ट्र के खिलाफ इतनी दिक्कत है तो फिर इस राष्ट्र में रह ही क्यों रहे हैं?
बीजेपी राष्ट्र उनकी जागीर है क्या? बीजेपी की देश को आजाद जो है वो कांग्रेस पार्टी के नेताओं ने कराया, कुर्बानियां दी हैं, वो तो नकारते हैं, वो तो स्वतंत्रता आंदोलन और संविधान सबको नकार रहे हैं, तो जागीर थोड़ी है उनकी।
सवाल यह है कि इस देश में जिन लाखों लाख लोगों ने शहादत देकर अंग्रेजों को खदेड़ा था, अहिंसा के मार्ग पे चलते हुए महात्मा गांधी ने, कांग्रेस पार्टी ने, सब लोगों ने मिलकर इस देश को आजादी दिलाई थी। उस 15 अगस्त 1947 की आजादी को आप आजादी नहीं मानेंगे, इसका क्या मतलब है? तो ये तो उनका एक सोचने का तरीका होगा और मैं समझता हूँ सही नहीं है। देखिए, आप सब जानते हैं संवैधानिक संस्थाओं को नीतिगत तरीके से जो कमजोर करने का काम केंद्र सरकार कर रही है, जो विश्वसनीयता होनी चाहिए निर्वाचन आयोग की, संस्थानों की, उसमें कमी आ रही है। तो हम चाहते हैं कि पारदर्शिता हो और जवाबदेही तय हो। अगर हम लोग को सवाल पूछते हैं सदन के अंदर, सदन के बाहर, उसके जवाब मिलने चाहिए। तो जो संस्थाएं हैं उनको निष्पक्ष, ट्रांसपेरेंट और क्रेडिबल होना पड़ेगा और हम लोग अपना संघर्ष जारी रखेंगे सड़कों पे, सदन के अंदर।
So the question that looms large, who is truly attacking the idea of India? Let's put that across to my guest joining me at this point. Pradeep Mahar is leader of the BJP. Sanjeev Unyal is an advocate who understands the RSS very well. I have Dr. Pooja Tripathi, spokesperson of the National Congress, and I'm also being joined by Sanjay Hegde, senior advocate. Thank you all for joining me at this point. Let me start with you, Sir Sanjeev Unyal ji. Let's try and, for instance, for as much as we can, let's keep the two issues separate, the two statements made by Rahul Gandhi separate. Let's look at what he had to say on the RSS chief's comments here. And if you look at those comments in isolation, Unyal ji, isn't saying that we only achieved true independence last year with the Pran Pratishtha in the Ayodhya, in the Ram Mandir temple, and saying that we did not achieve true independence in 1947, a very unintelligent remark to be made?
Now, first of all, we should read the remark as well as the vaktavya of Sarsang Chalak in totality. It was absolutely wrong to interpret what Rahul Gandhi did. What Sarsang Chalak of RSS said, let me clarify it is, he said that the constitution came into picture 1947 afterwards. But before that, the actual texture has not been implemented, executed properly by the political parties or at the executive part. So the texture of constitution was not been implemented. Then that is the real sense, that was the real interpretation of what he said, was not what Rahul Gandhi was saying. So Rahul Gandhi's tendency, we have seen in past also, that he began choosing the words from the mouth of others' opponents. Let we go into the detail. Last elections also, he said the constitution has not been implemented by the party, but that party has never said about it. So constitution book, carrying constitution book in his pocket doesn't mean that whatsoever you think, it will be what the person Sarsang Chalak ji is saying is entirely different, and what he's interpreting is entirely different, first of all. Secondly, if we come on the context of, he's saying that our fight is not against BJP and RSS, but against the state. Everyone knows the link of Congress with the urban Naxals, the link of the Congress with the deep state rooted, and Soros, he's dancing in the tune of orchestra, always being playing by the Soros. So it is going somewhere that I'll definitely, what BJP people, what nationalist people used to say, that deep state concept is going on in the mind of Rahul Gandhi, has been endorsed properly by his mouth himself only, that he's struggling, he will fight against the state.
No, what I don't understand, Sanjeev ji,
all the constitutional bodies, all the statutory bodies, all the election commissions, police, CRPF, and even
what I don't understand, Sanjeev ji, and we'll of course come to that aspect a bit later on. about what exactly Rahul Gandhi meant. My point is, when the BJP or the RSS or others supporting them say that Rahul Gandhi is linked to a lobby, ecosystem, and so nexus, deep state, and all these things. Today, Rahul Gandhi also alluded to a similar ecosystem nexus. That is my interpretation at this point here. However, we'll come to the semantics earlier. To my point, still the original controversy remains what happened with the RSS chief statement. So let me go across to Sanjay Hegde. Mr. Hegde, as Mr. Unial was saying, if what the RSS chief was claiming, that the true nature of the constitution was not put into place in 1947, how is that then made complete or made fulfilled by the consecration of a temple, as important as it might be to the Hindu faith?
It is not. It is not. And to say that only when we got a temple did we get full freedom is stupid, to put it mildly. We got our freedom in 1947. It took 2 years to write a constitution. Our neighbors tried writing a constitution, and it was only after they broke up did they finally get a full constitution in 1973. Our southern neighbor, Sri Lanka, got a British expert, Ivor Jennings, to write their constitution for them. That constitution lasted barely a decade. So our freedom struggle, our path after freedom, guided by Dr. Ambedkar's constitution, is something which I don't think really sits well with the Godse Panthis of today. The task of hollowing out the constitution, the task of saying that, the constitution is what I say it means, is in full flow now. So I don't think that the RSS chief was speaking without thinking. He was only enunciating an ideology that India is, according to the RSS, a Hindu nation. Ideally, they would have probably liked it to be declared as a Hindu nation on their centenary year, which is this year, 2025. But no, the constitution was written very carefully and was a set of carefully constructed compromises by a constituent assembly which had 80% of them were orthodox, observant Hindus, with President Rajendra Prasad being the most orthodox of them. They made careful choices. Those choices are being sought to be revisited and hollowed out. So when the cry goes that Samvidhan khatre mein hai, it is from this process of hollowing out. And people are calling it out, but let me put facts straight. It's not the RSS chief alone who has said that, this was a false dawn, this, that, and the other. Soon after the constitution was written, the communists of that time also said that this is a false independence. It was Faiz Ahmad Faiz who wrote that famous poem, Ye Daag Daag Ujala, Ye Shab Gazida Sahar.
Mr. Hegde, we don't even need to go that far back.
Ye wo sahar nahi.
A very prominent BJP, we don't even need to go as far back, a very prominent BJP leader who's now member of parliament and was an actress, is still an actress, had also infamously claimed that we only got true independence in 2014. We never got independence in 1947, which then brings me to the point, Pradeep Moore. Just a few weeks after we had this massive constitutional debate in which... please go on, Mr. Hegde, complete your point.
No, the good thing about having the RSS is, and their people is that every time we get a new Independence Day, whether it is 2014 or the consecration of the temple, or maybe now we will have another Independence Day when something else is announced.
Okay, Pradeep Mahaji, let's respond at this point. The point which Rahul Gandhi said, that in any other statement, in any other country, if a senior leader such of the stature as Mr. Mohan Bhagwatji would have come out and raised questions about the true nature of independence we got in 1947, or whether the constitution was served its purpose or not, there would be several questions being raised as to how nationalist or how patriotic he is. Unfortunately, now the BJP is now hasn't the BJP ticked on another remark of Rahul Gandhi? It's trying to distance itself from what the controversial comments which Mr. Bhagwatji made in the first place.
No. we need to understand one thing, that as far as the remarks of Mohan Bhagwatji is concerned, it has many different implications. First of all, we need to understand that in 1947, when the independence was announced, that time it was considered a self-governing dominion within British Commonwealth nations. So who in India is going to buy this? Ultimately, there is somebody who has to speak against it. It was the Congress all over. Congress was leading, Congress was having the government. So whatever they narrated to the people of India, that became true. So somebody, at least somebody has to come forward and say that, this is what was wrong. Even as far as the framing of constitution is concerned. Let's go into the depth of it. What happened
one second, Mr. Maur, I didn't get you.
look,
What are you saying? What happened in 1947? What is the self-governing thing? I didn't get it. It was not
India was
independence, it was
considered-
self-government.
It was self-government under British dominion. So this was a kind of line that was written in the Constitution of India. How can somebody mention that? Who in India is going to buy this? And this was done by the Congress that time. So ultimately that was wrong or right. We need to address this. And Mohan Bhagwatji stating that we did not
And
get
then what happened on
independence
26
in
January
1940.
1950 when the constitution was adopted and the constitution proclaimed India as a republic?
So he did not comment on the date when India became a republic. He was commenting on the date when India got independence. That was not a complete independence that India got. That is true. That is true. It was not complete independence. Congress that time, the Congress of that period, they considered India to be the British dominion. They mentioned it. That was very, very clear. Later on, that point was erased, and the constitution was framed, and India got a proper constitution. Even during framing of the constitution, there was many anomalies. Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar, what he did, he framed the constitution, and later on, the Constitutional Assembly made so many amendments. Amendments like Sanskrit, according to Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar, the Sanskrit was supposed to be the national language. We do not have a national language today. We have official language, not the national languages. So why so many amendments were made, and all the amendments were made to eradicate the Hindu history. So why such kind
Pradeep
of
Maurji, I have a lot of cross questions to do, but maybe I'll
against the
get
majority of
Pooja
India?
Tripathi to come in at this point. Dr. Pooja Tripathi, would you like to respond to this?
Ritangshu, this is atrocious. I think Bharatiya Janata Party spokesperson needs to study our shared history of the glorious freedom struggle. I think we were just discussing the audacity of Mohan Bhagwatji to come and to insult the spirit of freedom movement, to insult the 800,000 Indians who laid their lives for the cause of freedom struggle. Baji Raut laid his life at the age of 12, Bhagat Singh at 23, Khudiram Bose at 18, Tilak took on his chest and laid down his life. Gandhi gave his life and soul to the cause of freedom movement. Patel took the largest peasant struggle. Bose formed a Indian national army in foreign lands for the cause of freedom struggle. And here he is sitting in a national panel in a free country and claiming that we were not free in 1947. I think this is, we just mentioned Kangana Ranaut claiming that 2014 we can rub it off as an artist's foolish comment, saying that they always get scrapes and she's always overexcited to make comments. But when Bhagwatji makes a statement like this, it's a calculated statement. It's demeaning the freedom struggle of India. And why it doesn't surprise me? Because RSS, throughout the freedom history, they mollycoddled with British. They were writing the letters of cooperation. Golwalkar never went for a single day to jail. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee was writing letters to the Britishers to, weaken the Quit India movement. And this is the same RSS ideology that sits in the TV panel and says that we didn't attain the freedom struggle at 1947. Young men and women gave up their careers. They gave up their lives for the cause of freedom struggle. Women were pawning their gold. Women were coming out and spinning khadis for the Gandhi's satyagraha. And here is Bharatiya Janata Party.
Answer my question. Was India mentioned as British dominion or not? And who did that? Whose conspiracy was that? Pooja ji, whose conspiracy? Would you buy that somebody writing that India is going to be British dominion in 1947? Are you going to buy it? Tell me.
200 years
Are
of
you
freedom.
going to buy this?
I think the spirit of 1857 rather
Forget
Lakshmi Bai
about the
struggle.
state of 1850. Tell me, are you going to
Mr.
buy
Mahal,
this?
just explain one thing to me.
Yeah.
Mr. Mao, just explain one thing to me. If the Constitution of India is indeed so flawed, and I'll also get in Mr. Uniyal also in this point, if the Constitution of India is indeed so flawed, and you mentioned as to why Sanskrit didn't become the national language and all those things, I can give very answers because there was consultations from all parties, including people from the south here who followed Dravidian languages, who felt that Sanskrit is not something they follow. But anyway, if the Constitution of India is so flawed, why did we spend a parliament session recently with top leaders from the BJP, including the Prime Minister, upholding the tenets of the Constitution, hailing the contribution of Baba Sahib Ambedkar? Let us then come out and openly say that the Constitution is flawed and we need to change it. Other countries have also changed the Constitutions. Why doesn't the BJP come out and say that we need to change the Constitution then?
Constitution is an ongoing process where there are regular changes and amendments that are made. So Constitution is not something that is made today that is going to be permanent for always. There needs to be ratifications, there need to be amendments, there need to be some new implications that has to be brought. And those changes have been made, and in future, some more changes will be made. But as far as I was talking about Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, as you are saying that Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar made Constitution. So how many amendments were made when the Constitution was when that same Constitution was applied? Why so many amendments? When they were so right now, everybody in Congress is like taking the name of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. But why did so many amendments need to be made that time in order to apply the Constitution by the Constitutional Committee?
Okay, Pooja Tripathi, respond to that. I need to move on to the other aspect of this debate. I also want to focus about this so-called Indian state which Rahul Gandhi has coined. Pooja Tripathi, respond to that, please.
Because the members of Constituent Assembly themselves said that Constitution is a living document, it will go amendments as per the time and space. It will attain amendment. And RSS, which was burning effigies of
Constitution, Rahul Gandhi to say India is the union of states.
I didn't interrupt you.
India is not a country. India does not have a legacy of 5,000 years. It is a union of states.
Mr. Maur, 1 second. Let Pooja Tripathi answer, please. Mr. Maur, 1 second. What Rahul Gandhi claimed, by the way, is written in the Constitution. India is a union of states. But let Pooja Tripathi please respond to that.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Constituent Assembly, the whole Constituent Assembly, including Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, the person who was chief draft of the Constitution, they said that Constitution is a living document and it has to be amended. It has to be amended according to time and space. And these are the same people, these are the same RSS who's been making, these loose comments about our freedom struggle. They refuse to fly Tiranga at 52 years at their headquarters. They burned effigies of Ambedkar. I don't need to remind, they called Dr. Ambedkar a lilliput. I don't need to remind that they refused to accept the
okay, no, 1 second. Now let Pooja Tripathi, let me now focus. Okay, we have understood the constitution aspect. Now let's also put into aspect this entire controversy that came. What exactly is Rahul Gandhi meaning by the Indian state? Now I understand, I am a student of political science. I understand that a state is defined as a political unit which has sovereignty. But if Rahul Gandhi is really claiming that every single institution is with the BJP and the RSS at this point, then are you not essentially equating India with a failed democracy in any aspect? Then isn't Mr. Gandhi himself insulting also the very tenets of democracy which has been fought and has been preserved for so long? By that logic, then why is the Congress even coming on this channel? Because according to the Congress party, all institutions are co-opted by the BJP and RSS.
So let me tell you, Ritangshu, what did he meant? He didn't say India as a nation. He meant Indian state. Then what you actually defined, the Indian government, the saffronization of institutions, the whole institutions have been captured. You look at Election Commission of India, look at ADI, they're one-sided actions that have been taken. You look at CBI, you look at IT, you look at educational institutions that have been captured by the RSS bodies. So when he meant it's the whole machinery that the opposition is fighting, it's not this Bharatiya Janata Party at the center. It's all the institutions. When ED does 94% of cases against opposition leaders and anybody who joins the Bharatiya Janata Party goes scot-free in their washing machine, is this saffronization of institutions that we are talking about? And that's when he meant, when he said that our fight is against the Bharatiya Janata Party, RSS. Obviously, our ideological fight is against Rajat, but the Indian state too, we are fighting the whole machinery. Even every institution is compromised these days. That's why opposition is having it's not a level playing field, but we are trying hard. We have been
okay. So that is Dr. Tripathi. You're saying that is the So, Dr. Tripathi, you're saying that is the interpretation of an Indian state. Let me get across my two lawyers and simple senior advocates who are with me on this panel. Sanjay Hegde, do you buy this this assumption, this interpretation of the Indian state being institutions which are now co-opted with the BJP and RSS? Isn't this a very politically loaded statement to make that right now it's Congress versus the entire country, entire political system of India, whatever the system may be?
Well, that is his perception and he's entitled to it, isn't he? If the organs of the state do not seem to be acting fairly, Ms. Tripathi, Dr. Tripathi spoke about the Election Commission and various other organs of state. If they are not seen to be independent, fearless, and going by the record, then somebody might very well have a grievance that all organs of state are aligned only to one political party. Here, Mr. Gandhi may have forgotten that in his grandmother's time, they spoke of having a committed judiciary. So each party that comes into power, sometimes when it is in power too long, tries to entrench itself into as many apparatus of the state as possible. And institutional capture then seems to be the norm. The real problem is that today, if you see many people, even from the armed forces, they are wearing their political opinions and announcing it loudly. The virtues of impartiality, the virtues of distance, principled distance from politicians are no more being practiced by institutions within India. Therefore, a reminder, I think, is necessary.
So, Sanjeev Unia, let me then try and bring this down to two binaries. If the government or the BJP or the RSS says that Rahul Gandhi is in cahoots with this so-called deep state where George Soros, Illuminati, God knows, all external organizations are involved, by that logic, maybe Rahul Gandhi can also say that that the government or the BJP and RSS are in cahoots with all the institutions within the country, and as a result, it is no longer a fair fight.
Should I ask?
You're asking this question to me?
Sanjeev Unyalji, that question was for you. Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
I'll be near to your topic only. First of all, Rahul Gandhi is not against Dr. Bhagwat. He is against Ram Mandir. You see the affidavit of Ram Mandir, what they have given, what they have filed before the Supreme Court of India. It's an imaginary thing. So Ram Mandir's, the total Andolan had been adopted by the Sant, but had been given endorsed by the Bharatiya Janata Party or RSS due to the conduct and acts of Rahul Gandhi and party. That was the only reason. So Rahul Gandhi, now I will come to the constitution. Ram Temple, he is against Ram Temple first of all. That's why he is in this ambit. Secondly, constitutional original prati, Mool Prati of Constitution carries complete Ram Darbar, governed by and written by Dr. Hedgewar. डॉक्टर हेडगेवार ने पूरे राम मंदिर का पूरा चित्र ओरिजिनल प्रति ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन कैरीज राम मंदिर सो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एंड राम मंदिर आर नॉट टू डिफरेंट चैप्टर्स it comes the starting point of the Constitution of India, which has been drafted by Dr. Ambedkar, the great Ambedkar ji. And what happened? Do you know? They have never touched the original Prati, and in the presence of Nehru ji, he was there. And Vasuji has all those architecture or all chitra sculptures has been taken care by the Vasuji. And the Vasuji has been appointed solely by Jawaharlal Nehru ji. So, Constitution, Ram Mandir are part and parcel of this country, backbone, heart. So, like eyes without
that
vision.
Is okay. So you are. Thank you for being okay. So Sanjeev Unyalji, thank you for being absolutely forthright. You are saying that the origins of the constitution was always synced with the need for Ram Rajya and the need for a Ram Mandir. That's what Bhagwatji was saying. Mr. Hegde, I'll come to you for the last. Sanjay Hegde, I'll come to you for the last word. Is this Yes, Mr. Hegde wants to come in at this
Yes.
point. Please go ahead, Mr. Hegde. Are we looking at an inevitable fusion of the ideas, confluence of the ideas of the Ram Rajya and Ram Mandir and the idea of India through the Constitution?
Okay. First, a quick fact check. Dr. Hegdewar had nothing to do with the Constitution. Second check. The illustrations were done by Nandlal Bose and the calligrapher was one Mr. Raizada. The illustrations also included illustrations of Tipu Sultan and Akbar. So therefore, to say that just because the Ram Darbar was used to illustrate certain constitutional concepts takes you nowhere in the argument. Now, we have a constitution which is a confluence of many things. Our basic idea is India, that is Bharat. We are a modern state arising out of an ancient civilization. Some civilizational values we have taken, but equally the Constitution is a social document. It speaks of equality, justice, and fraternity. Those are the core principles to which this nation is dedicated. And the Constitution is something which Indian citizens have taken ownership of. Any attempts to hollow out their rights, any attempts to take away the Constitution will be strongly resisted. That's where
So you're saying, Mr. Hegde, that the Constitution can be amended as it has been in the past, but the essence of the Indian Constitution, which by extension also talks about the essence of the idea of India, should not be hollowed out. Now, that is the big debate. At the end of the day, when you come up with allegations of deep state versus the so-called Indian state, which Rahul Gandhi has coined, I'm not sure I still agree with the terminology here, even though I can understand what he was trying to mean. It still wonders as to who is hollowing out this idea of India. Nevertheless, thank you so much for joining me, Pradeep Mawar, Sanjeev Unyal, Dr. Pooja Tripathi and Sanjay Hegde on this very important debate. It's time for a short commercial. More news and updates on the other side.